Welcome to RELICS Radio, your favorite weekly podcast dedicated to the metal detecting and treasure hunting community. Here are your hosts, Ken from Adventures in Dirt and Tony from 5280 Adventures.
Hey everyone, we're RELICS Radio. Welcome to another Wednesday night here, coming to you from Northern Colorado here on RELICS Radio. I'm DK with Adventures in Dirt. If you're just joining us, welcome to RELICS Radio. And we're in our 8th season. Can you believe it? You got plenty of opportunities to go back and listen to tons of audio versions of our past shows going back 8 years. Just search RELICS Radio anywhere you find podcasts, and you'll be able to find RELICS Radio. I want to bring in my host. My co-host tonight, Tony. Let's bring him in and see what he's up to tonight. Tony, you out there? What's up, buddy? Cheers. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Another Wednesday night. Congrats. Yep. You made it to Wednesday.
We did. We missed last week. We kind of had an exciting, fun Wednesday night, but we weren't able to join you guys here on RELICS Radio.
Yeah, we can touch on it real quick. I'm sure people know everything going on with it, but we had a little
sick of it.
Had a little watch party we were all at for Expedition Unknown, and we got to see our mugs on Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates on Discovery Channel for about 10 minutes. So it was the two of us with Jeff Lubert, and it was a good time. How many people do we have up there at the watch party? Probably
20?
Like 20 or so people. Yeah. Had some pizza, had some whiskey. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Making old fashions.
Yeah.
People are asking questions. People are really kind of excited to see it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We
was a good time.
Like we didn't know how it was going to turn out. So we were like,
did not have
biting our nails. Like, what, are they going to make us look like complete? We're already idiots, but are they going to make us look like complete and utter idiots?
Right. You know what? I think it turned out well. And if anybody hasn't seen it, go back. You can search for Expedition Unknown on Discovery Channel on all of the, streaming sites. See if you guys can see. I think it's episode 3 on season 15.
Yep.
And if you're not too interested in the whole show, fast forward to about the last 15 minutes or so, and you can check us out. But we would encourage you to watch the whole thing. It's actually a really good story about Buffalo Bill Cody and very well put together. Everything ties in really well. It's a great production. I think we had a great time. I had a fantastic time.
Yeah, me too. The experience was worth it. Even if you didn't make the show. I mean, we thought maybe we wouldn't even been cut into the show at one point.
Right.
But the experience still was amazing. Like, I'd do that again in a second. I think you said you would too, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're talking now, if the homeowner, the landowners are listening, which I think they are popping in on us every once in a while on social media, but we're got on the horn today and finalizing up a date to head back up to that area and see what else we can find away from the production side. I'm sure you and I will be able to produce something for our channels, but
right.
Something different. To be kind of, the first time back, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So
no sound guy, no multiple camera shoots with drone shots.
Dang it. We're gonna have to work for our footage now. Dang it.
Producers and people giving us massages and feeding us caviar at lunch.
Yeah.
None of that stuff.
Delivery of lunch. Yeah. No, none of that. You gotta bring up the Gatorade and the chips.
Right. I'm toting Gatorade and bologna. That's what I'm toting. That's funny.
There we go.
I'm looking
who we got? Yeah, who we got in the chat here so far?
Let me see. Who was first in tonight? I see Metal Sharks beat everyone. He's like the first one in. Of course you are.
That's crazy.
Thanks for joining us. Bill Hayes coming right behind him. Says howdy, y'all.
Nice. Yeah.
Jason over at Detect SD.
Hey,
good
Jason.
evening. I might be seeing him in another couple of weeks here.
Ooh,
we're trying to make some time to get together when I visit South Dakota here in a couple of weeks.
Good. He's got some good stuff up there. If you guys aren't watching Detect SD's channel, you got to check him out. He's on some good stuff.
Yeah, he posted a printing plate today. That was really cool. It got me flying down the rabbit hole again. Like
that was on Facebook, right?
Yep. It
sure was awesome.
5082 Adventure, 5280 Adventure, whoever that guy is. Hey, look who's here, the history digger, Rob.
There we go.
Hey, man.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah. Welcome. Evening, folks. Looking forward to this one.
How about digging Daryl?
Hello, Daryl. I don't know if we've seen him here before, man. What's up?
No, I think our guest may have brought in his fan club with him. So
Well,
we're
welcome.
going to see some new faces. Hopefully you guys like the production, kind of like the format and everything. We're here every Wednesday night, so stick around.
Yeah, should be fun. We're giving away $500 in about 3 minutes. No, I'm teasing.
How much? What?
we pay for our audience. Yep. Cheers at 5 Mile. Good to see you.
That's
Thanks
right.
for popping in. He was asking later in the chat if we saw his canteen that he got that was on the cover.
Yeah.
I've seen a few posts about that. Facebook, I think.
Good stuff.
Maybe even, yeah, it was good stuff. We should have him on sometime, chat about that.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Get a hold of us.
More people, and then we'll get on to our guest. Ohio Friedel. Or Fred.
It's Fred L, probably.
Fred L. Ohio Fred L.
Oh,
right. See, and we got Ill Digger.
Hello, Tim. Did you see his Cabbage Patch Doll character or whatever he had made for him?
Yeah, Garbage Pail Kid.
Garbage Pail Kid, yeah. Cabbage Patch Doll. Did I say Cabbage Patch Doll?
That's what they're off of. It's kind of that, yeah. Copper Joe saying hi to everybody. Welcome in, Copper Joe. Always good to have you on the show.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Jim Steele.
Hello, Jim.
Welcome on. Thanks for coming on.
DC Diggin, everyone. Great guest tonight. Robert Thompson. Howdy ho from Nebraska. Welcome. Just up north of us here. Not too far, probably 2.5 hours to the border.
There you go.
Right here. So yeah. Welcome everyone. Good to see you Wednesday night, Relics Radio. Great guest tonight. Can't wait to have him on. Is he ready? Yep. Is he ready to go?
I think he's ready.
Let's bring that guy in. Looking forward to talking.
Welcome to Relics Radio, Southern Relic Adventures, Mr. Brian White.
How you doing, Brian?
What's up, guys?
Hey, he's part of the
guys tonight. Yes, big cup,
big cup club
on the side.
Big cup club.
He's got the Gamecocks.
Love it.
The big Gamecocks fan, huh?
Yes, South Carolina all the way. I'm South Carolina, true bred, born and raised. Love where I live. It's a beautiful state.
Never been. Tony, ever been?
No, but I would love to go there.
Yeah, me too,
love.
Man.
I mean, I bet there's a lot of history there, and if we actually had somebody that knew about a lot of history from South Carolina that we could have on the show, I bet we'd learn a lot about it.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Well,
maybe tonight. Who knows?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, this place is awesome, and I live what I consider to be ground zero for everything. I'm about a mile from the beach. So I don't live far from the beach, so I can go beach hunting. I've got Civil War sites, I've got Revolutionary War sites, and I've got all the other things that everybody else has too, parks, old houses, all those things too. So I feel like I live in what I call the Goldilocks zone.
That's right.
The Goldilocks, what is it? The Goldilocks?
The Goldilocks zone.
Oh, the zone.
The zone.
Sounds like it, man. You got a little bit of history around you there.
It is
Spanish American, all kinds of stuff, probably.
It is a beautiful area, and it's just great for metal detecting. And of course, you guys know I love to metal detect. I started my channel, really started my social media stuff it's probably been about 4 or 5 years ago that I really sort of took off with a lot of this stuff. Right about the time COVID was coming to an end, really. And then it just exploded. But
why'd you do that, Brian? Why'd you start getting on social media? Not everyone does that. You know what I mean?
Well, believe it or not, and I know I told you guys this earlier. I'm a history teacher, still am. I grew up, of course, in South Carolina. I have deep roots here. Got a lot of family history. I love family history stuff too. So I'm really big into knowing about the past, and my parents were really good about taking me places when I was growing up, and it was mainly history places. And so that's what really got me interested in historical things. And of course, I just fell in love with it. And of course, I've got a master's in history, and I've been doing this for a while, and I love what I do. And so about 2021, right about the time COVID was coming to an end, my kid said, "Hey, Coach White, you need to start a TikTok." And so, believe it or not, I started with a TikTok.
Did you start with TikTok?
I started with a TikTok. Now, I did have a YouTube channel. I started my YouTube channel actually in 2017, but I really wasn't doing much with it. And so I started with a TikTok, and I did that for a while, and that took off. And I said, maybe I should try some of these other things. And so I went over to Facebook and Instagram, and I started sharing my metal detecting adventures. And then that took off too. And then I came back to YouTube, and I started really focusing on the YouTube aspect, and the YouTube has really taken off too.
Did you start doing those YouTube dances that they do on there?
No.
Is that how you started? Come on,
thing.
Brian, you could tell us. We're all friends here.
Here's the thing. Think about how powerful this is. I can walk into my classroom right now, and I can look at every one of those kids sitting out in those desks, and they're high school kids now. And I can say, you know what? I got more followers.
Ooh,
I love it.
Going to down.
I love it.
So I burn them every single time. And yes, so that's where it sort of started. But my real passion is history. My dad, when I was growing up, he used to take me relic hunting. We really looked for old bottles, and if you can see behind me, you'll see I've got a little thing of bottles and things that I've found over the years.
I see an onion bottle sitting back there.
Yeah, there's an onion bottle back there. There's a beautiful South Carolina dispenser. I might even show that to you guys in just a few minutes, but just a lot of special history in those bottles. And I've got one of the very first Coca-Cola bottles that was ever done in my area. So those bottles were really, really big for me. And then I got into metal detecting back in 2011 was when I really sort of started metal detecting a lot. And my dad bought me a metal detector when I was growing up, but I didn't play with it that much. But around 2011, I started with it, and then I just took to it like a fish out of water. And again, I live in the perfect area for what I do, and I love looking for history. I love looking for artifacts, and I love talking to machines. I've become like I just understand what these machines are actually saying to me. And so, I love sharing that knowledge and what I'm seeing with the machines as much as doing the adventures and digging the relics and the artifacts. That's become a big part of what I do too. And I love it. I just love it.
What was that first machine that you got?
Believe it or not, I'm just like everybody else. I started with an Ace Pro 250.
Yes.
Yeah, an Ace 250.
I did too.
Not quite everybody, but yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. The important people did.
Right. Well, so I had an Ace 250, and then I went from the Ace 250 to a Garrett AT Pro.
There you go.
Right.
And
right.
I used that for a while, and then I went from the Garrett AT Pro to a Minelab E-Track.
No. Okay.
I bought a Minelab Excalibur to hunt the beach because I lived at the beach and I wanted to hunt the beach and couldn't really hunt it very well with the AT Pro. Yeah. So I started using that, and then that's when I got hooked on the XP train, and I've been a strong user of XP products really since about 2015. So I love XP products, and that's just become my main go-to machine. But I use all machines. I use Garrett, I use Nocta, I use Minelab, and I use XP. So, and I've got pretty much, if you see back here behind me, I've got about 20 machines back here behind me, and most of the major manufacturers and so on, I've got their machines. I love testing them. I love giving instruction on them. Of course, my natural thing is I'm a teacher, so that makes it a lot of fun. I love explaining and helping people. That's just what I love doing. And that's what my channel's about. Of course, it's about me finding things, but it's also about, instructing and giving help and demonstrations of these machines and all the things that they're capable of doing.
Yeah. Rob, the history digger, gave you a nice compliment here. He said that, and I can't load it up. I can't load that up. Tony, without me being in as an admin. They said Brian's one of the most knowledgeable detectors out there today. He swings and talks about a range of detectors, and he's learned a lot from you. So that's a very nice compliment.
That's a huge compliment. Yeah.
And Rob is very knowledgeable too. So don't let him fool you as well.
Yeah.
We bounce a lot of ideas and things off of each other. We become really good friends, and that's what it's all about too, is friendships. Building community, that's again, that's what our channel is about. And we're here to instruct, and we're here to help people find, that's what I believe this hobby should be about. And that's what I try to do on my channel. I love doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to mention Johnny Bottles in the chat also said, found some awesome relics using Brian's sweeper program. So
yeah, I was checking out that video today, trying to check out the sweeper program. Yeah. I don't have that loaded up, so I may check that out and try it on my land. You know what I mean? All programs are different, right, Brian? They're all different.
Right, they are. And one thing I will say about the program thing, even though I've got that up there, I'll be the first to say it may not work for you.
Sure.
You may go out there and you may say, well, I don't really like this. And again, it's dependent on site. It's dependent on, your type of hunting conditions and what you're used to. I do those videos because I know people, a lot of people are instant gratification. I want it now. And I don't mind doing that, but I also try to preface myself with saying, hey, look, here's this program. If you want to use it, try it. If it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, then that's fine too. Maybe you can make modifications to it, or maybe there's something else that'll work better for you. But again, we do those types of programs just to give people some idea about some settings that could possibly work. I just got through telling you my soil in my area is real sandy. I have mild soil. I don't deal with mineralization. My soil is you're probably going to get the most depth that you're going to get out of a machine in my soil. So again, I try to clarify all of that whenever I show any sort of test or I put up a program or what I'm using. Hey, you can go try this, but this may not work for you. But if you want to try it, here it is. You can take it out and you can try it yourself.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a good spot. Ken, you might have to try that sweeper program. We've got a good spot that we've been kind of hitting. We think 2025 is going to be a good year for us in this location, but that soil is very sandy. I remember going up there when it was cold out. It didn't freeze over. It was really a night, and relics looked fantastic coming out of there. So Ken might be able to. And on the show, we only say XP. We don't say the D word at all because you get. I know I'm sitting with 2 XP guys now, so as long as you guys don't say the D word, we're all good.
I don't have to say it. It says
just
it right
point
back
to it, huh?
Well, and I've got a very special relationship with XP. They've really become my go-to sponsor more so in a lot of cases. But they are super, super great to deal with. They really listen to the things that I tell them or I explain to them sometimes, and sometimes they don't, but
sure.
But again, I try to give them things that I think that can help make the machine better. I have done some testing for them. In fact, I'm in the process of doing some testing for them. So I do a variety of things, and I do it for all manufacturers, not just XP. I try to help them out as much as I can, give them my feedback on what I'm seeing, what's going on, and so on. So, but I really love doing that part of it too. The only problem is I don't have enough time.
Yep.
I've got a full-time job,
and
that's getting ready to take over again in another 2 weeks. And, I won't have as much time to devote to this, but I really love doing that part of it as well. I love the video. A lot of YouTubers say, hey, I hate editing, and it can become a grind. I'll be the first to admit it, but I've actually gotten where I love the editing. I've got like about 8 different cameras. I got 4 drones. I've got the setup that I have here in my office, and all this stuff going on. So, but I actually like that. I think it's fun. I mean, I've always been a tech nerd sort of too, to go along with all of that. So it sort of just gravitates to what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and throw a plug in there. I know you do a lot of live streaming. When are you live on your channel?
We do our live streams on Friday night. We did not have one last Friday night. Of course, it was July 4th. And I was with family. I had my grandkids here. Believe I am a grandfather. So I just had number 6 born last week, and we got number 7 in next month. Yeah, there you
Ken's
go.
got 8.
So you guys get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but I found out that I really realized what the reason is that God gave grandkids or gave kids to younger people. I found that out in a hurry.
Absolutely.
And they were with me for almost 7 days, 6 days. And man,
Where are you out?
I was wore out when they left this morning. So it gets it can wear you down in a hurry.
It can.
For sure.
Yeah. But you appreciate every second of it. You know,
my gosh.
It's a good kind of wore down where you're just like,
yes.
Can't wait to do that again.
No, yeah. And you know, and the football season's coming up, so I'm hoping that they live near, even though I'm not a Clemson fan, I'm a Gamecocks fan, but Clemson is in the upstate of South Carolina, so they live up in that part of the state. But I will go to a couple of those football games just so I can be with them, you know, really.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a lot
awesome.
of fun. Yeah, I think when people go out different sites, you know, they try to set their machines out, you know, learning your machine, you're trying to set it up. Like I got a program that I use up at this these sites we've been hunting lately. I call it my X-ray program. It's a custom program I put together, and man, I'm telling you what, it changed some things, right, Tony? Like you saw.
Oh my gosh.
Tony now is like, I'll find some items, heavy iron sites.
Yeah. We're always on a heavy
using
iron.
that X-ray program after I pulled something out. I'm like, man, it's just killing it, you know? And it's just, you know, but I probably wouldn't use that program on a big wide open kind of field that didn't have all that iron. So I was using something different. You know what I mean?
So most of my sites are really high iron concentrated sites, usually with these hand forged square nails that were, you know, they're it's brutal. I mean, I'm just being honest. It's brutal, and you know, you go into that site, and this can go on for, you know, for 500-600 yards. I've had it go on even farther than that, but it's just machine gun, what I call machine gun iron. You know, the whole time. Yeah. And you know, that's where I live. That's my zone, is getting into that iron and just picking targets from that iron. And of course, you guys know XP's released the HF2 coil, and so I've been you know, experimenting with it, trying to get it finally tuned to what I do. And of course, the new version 3 software has sort of changed up a lot of things for a lot of people. And for those people that do have XP machines that are on here right now, please be patient. We are still in beta version, in version 3, and it's only going to get better, and they're working to refine that and get that more fine-tuned as we go through over the next few months. So be patient with that. If you don't want to do a beta version software, then don't do it. Stay with version 2.0 or 1.1. Yeah. Or if you like 0.71, there's still a lot of people on 0.71. I even know some people that are on 0.60 XP machine. So if you don't want to deal with the beta version and deal with bugs and stuff, you know, for right now, that's fine. You don't have to download it. If you do get the HF2 coil, though, you definitely have to download version 3. So you're going to have to go with the beta version. But just remember, there are bugs in it. And that's the main thing that I want to make sure that I clarify for people is just, you know that you are getting a beta version of that software, and eventually that software will get its final version. So be patient with it. Did any of you have the HF2 coil?
No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I like the idea of it being a sniper coil that I can tune down and not use it for what it has the capability of being used for. Now, we do have a lot of gold tailing piles here in Colorado. Just we don't hit them a lot yet. If I had the HF coil, I'd probably be more tempted to go up to them tailing piles and see what I could pull out of them. But right now. I'm going to wait. Brian.
Well, there it is right there. And Tony, that's perfectly good because again, it is in beta version, but it is coming. And you guys will have the final version, which I'm hoping is going to be real soon. XP hasn't officially announced when that's going to happen. But again, we're still in the process of getting through these beta software and getting this thing sort of fine-tuned. But it's a great coil. Like you said, as a sniper coil, and you brought up a great point. It's a situational coil. And I think people need to understand that too. This is not going to be your everyday coil. Okay. Just to clarify that. This coil is made for tight spaces. It's made for high EMI areas. It's going to be made for small pieces of gold. And I know that's probably what Ken, that's probably what you're going to be interested in more so than anything. But I think it fits all of those needs very, very well. I have run it up to 120 kilohertz.
Wow.
And I do have the video of that. And believe it or not, the depth is not that bad at 120 kilohertz with this machine. So you can go check out my videos with that. But again, this coil, I think, hits all of those categories that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get those. New coil comes out like that. It's been a while since sort of XP's come out with something new and shiny. So they see that coming out and they think, oh, I got to get the latest and greatest. It's the best. It's the best coil. And that latest and greatest XP came out with, not knowing that it's not really meant to replace your stock coil.
Your standard
stock. It's not going to be your main coil. Well, so they'll do that and they'll go, oh my gosh, it's nothing like what I'm used to. Well, right.
And let me say this too, the 9-inch FMF coil is just as good in a lot of ways, and it gives great separation in a lot of ways. This coil gives you an advantage that the 9-inch FMF coil won't give, and that is getting into those really tight spaces. Like I've got a video up, and it's actually using the Garrett Vortex out in the middle of this cornfield. Well, you can get in between those corn stalks. I mean, the corn is right up to my shoulders almost, but you can get in the middle of those corn stalks with this. And I actually ran this coil out in that field. Didn't find anything because I'd already hunted it pretty well with the Vortex. And but what I'm saying is that's where this coil is going to shine, for those really tight spots where you're going to get into those types of areas. And, your round coil wouldn't have gotten in between some of those stalks. I know that. You get up close to a tree, and you've got maybe another little shrub tree off to the side. You can get right in between that. This coil could also, and I know my buddy Rob's going to love to hear this, this coil could be a silver sniffer. Is what Rob likes to say. So
he just said that.
yeah, it could be a silver sniffer. You can run it in that lower frequency max of 29, and you can lower the reactivity. You can get as much depth as you can out of it, and it will hit those silver coins. And of course, I showed you guys one of the finds that I found running this coil. And that was a Nova Constellatio.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to. So, and there it is right there. Now,
wait, that old thing? Oh, man, come on.
That coin is the first coin that was ever minted by the U.S. government in 1785.
Wow.
And we've actually found 2 of those on this permission that we've been on. Now, this one was in a different location. But I was just so excited to find it because I never expected to dig this in that spot, because everything that came out of there was 1800s. But that was found with the HF2 coil. And the reason why I knew it was going to be a coin was because of the target IDs. And that beta version of software that I was running rings up a 99. And, I knew that a 99 was going to be a coin. And so there it was. It was laying right there. And I had walked that side a few times, and everything that came out of that side was 1800s. and to dig a 1785 coin off of that site. And I believe the reason why that coin was there, I believe that the old road actually had come through there and someone had dropped it coming down that old colonial road.
You want to hear something terrible? It's something really terrible about myself personally, but okay. So we're here in Colorado. First of all, the type of sites Tony and I hunt, we are just not finding coins, man. We're finding old relics.
Right.
But they didn't drop a lot of money here in these, pioneer prairie, pushing west, locations. Sometimes we can find some 1850 stuff, but just not too many coins. I have a hard time digging 99 signals, man. I would probably pass on that because I just know that it is never going to be anything. Now, have I passed up on some large silvers? Maybe, but I have a hard time digging those signals.
But the reason why it was ringing up that high was because of this coil. This coil elevates the target IDs right now, and that's something that XP is working on to try to get some of that remedy. I know the only reason why I dug that, and I'm like you, Ken, I probably wouldn't have dug that because a 99 usually means big iron or some big piece of trash that's just down there.
Just don't get it.
I can tell by the way this thing sounds. It's got a smooth sound to it. But I also knew that 99 that I had tested in my test garden, I knew that was a coin. And so that's the only reason why I dug this target.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would have been like you, Ken. I would have walked away from it.
It's tough.
And said, hey, that's probably a big piece of trash. But again, and this is one thing I'm going to stress to people, having a test garden can do wonders for you. And I strongly suggest people to have that and go out and test things yourself. Don't rely on my testing.
Yep.
Don't rely on anybody on YouTube. You need to go out and do it, and you need to test it and figure out how this thing is going to work in your area. And I strongly suggest that. And if you do that, that can pay huge dividends. Just like I just said, I would have probably not dug that, if I didn't know this coil and I didn't know what those target IDs were. And I didn't know what that sound was.
Yeah, I get it, because a lot of sniper coils give you that, right? It's a narrower coil, It's got a more tighter signal, different sound, sharper edges. Like, it's not deep. I used to have my Technetic T2 was my baby.
Yeah.
For many years.
It was a wonderful machine.
A little 4-inch puck. You ever swing that 4-inch?
Yeah, well, I never swung that, but I know a lot of people that loved it, and I know it's a great machine.
It just would reach out and just grab you by the nose and say, you have to dig me right now, because there's no doubt in your mind when you hit a good signal with that little puck. And I would imagine it'd be the same with Tony, what are you swinging now on that Manicore? You got that new M8 coil?
I got the M9. I went with the 9. Yeah.
Right. And Tony, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the M9 coil. The M9 coil on that Manicore is by far to me, it's one of the best coils that's been introduced by Minelab ever. I'm just going to say it. And I've got that machine too. I run that. You can go and see the videos with me using the Manicore. And the Manicore is just a wonderful machine.
Yeah.
And just to talk a little bit about the Manicore.
We don't have to. We can go back to the Deus II anytime.
No. I want to hear. We just spent 30 minutes on the XP D word. We can talk about the Manicore now. Bring it on.
We go back and forth, right? Because I swing the D2. Tony swings the Manicore. So.
Here, we'll do this. We'll do this, Brian. We'll mute Ken so he can't so you and I can talk about the Manicore now.
Yeah. Well, the Manicore.
Some whiskey on the
back. Just kidding, man.
The Manicore with that 9-inch coil is by far, I think that's one of Minelab's best coils that they've ever made for a machine. I'm just honest about it. I think it's got depth. I think it's got great separation. I love the Manicore screen. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that the Manicore, that screen, I think the user ID, the user interface on the Manicore is just unbelievable. And I'm a big fan of the Manicore too. You know, I can pick up that Manticore just as well as I could pick up that XP, and I don't think I miss a beat in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I went from I'm kind of going back to the conversation. Started out with the 250, went up through the lineup of Garrett all the way up to the Apex, and then from the Apex, I was trying to make a determination if I'm going to jump to the XP Deus or if I was going to go the Manticore. Manticore was just coming out, and I just chose to go the Manticore route. And I was using the stock coil for about a year and a half, and noticed a huge difference in terms of what I was able to find. Or actually what I was able to, not dig up. I didn't dig up a lot of trash.
Yeah, huge change.
And I really learned a lot about it. And now we're digging these super heavy old sites, super iron heavy sites.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just going to go. I couldn't figure out if I went the 8 or the 9. I talked to a lot of people. I went with the 9. And I'll tell you what, man, in these high iron sites, it picks it out. It really can tell you. What I really love is that, I'll even be able to see multiple targets, that it tells you, one's a piece of iron, one's a coin, right next to each other, and like all those kind of different things. And I thought that the M9 is absolutely completely elevated what information I'm able to get from the machine.
And I know he gets tired of me. I'm sorry. I know he gets tired of me complimenting him all the time, but I really have not, I don't know if we've had you on the show before. So I've seen his detecting skill changed 100-fold when he moved into the Manticore. I mean, it completely changed him as a detector. As his detecting buddy, we go out exclusively with each other almost. It just changed. When he got the M8 or M9, it changed again. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, come on, man, quit it.
And here's the thing. My hunting partner, Michael, who's on here right now, NC Relic Hunter, he just really gels with that machine. I'm just honest with you. I mean, that machine, I've seen him pull some amazing things with it. And he does well with the XP machine as well. But that machine tends to suit his hunting style, and the audio tends to suit him a little better. And again, that's why I tell people, look, all of these machines are very, very comparable. You've got to decide what machine fits you the best for your hunting conditions, for your sites. I don't care if it's the Ace 250. I mean, if you feel comfortable with that machine and that's the machine that you like, then that's the machine you should go with. Don't let price and don't let anybody, and I mean this honestly, don't let anybody on YouTube tell you that if you're not swinging a Manticore or you're not swinging a Deus II, that your machine is garbage. And I don't want people to feel that way. And that's one of the things that I try to stress on my channel. We're here to try to help people with every machine, regardless of price point, features, whatever it may be. We want you to get the most out of whatever it is that you're using. And again, some people just click with certain machines. Whether it be a cheaper machine or a more expensive machine.
Yeah, Rob Rizzo, the history digger, he said something fantastic, and I absolutely agree with it. Ken and I absolutely love this idea. It's good to have a hunting buddy with a different machine. You can have 3 D2s go over the same area, and you'll find different things, but it's nice to have a Minelab go through it, have a Garrett go through it with you as well, and everybody finds just a little bit different. I think it helps. It has helped us in the past really clean up a site having 2 different machines.
Well, and think of it like this, guys. Nobody wants to hear someone come on here or come on YouTube or wherever it may be and say, well, your machine is trash because it's not this machine or it doesn't have this feature.
No.
And I'm not that, I don't like that, and I don't condone that by any means. I think whatever people use, learn it the best you can. A lot of these machines, the technology has advanced so much, whether it be a Garrett, whether it be a Nocta, whether it be a Minelab, whether it be an XP machine. All of these machines are capable of finding a lot of the same targets. And I've said this multiple times on my channel. I think that margin, that percentage of how much more you get out of those extra features is very, very small. I really don't. I mean, I've tested a lot of this, and I've gone out with different machines, and I've had people with different machines, and probably I would say about on 90 to 95% of the targets, that machine would hit the same target, whether it was the $1,500 machine versus the $300 or $500 machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that a lot. Like Tony will hear us targeting. Hey, Ken, come over here. Tell me what this sounds like to you. You know what I mean? And vice versa. It's like, oh man, you know, here, let me swing over that for a minute just to see what it sounds like to me in my machine. But you're right. I mean, you know, first of all, Brian, it's a great time. It's a great time right now to be in this hobby.
Oh my gosh.
There are so many great tools you have out there between shovels and detectors and, you know, gadgets and gizmos.
Exactly.
It's a fun time for us boys with our toys, you know, like somebody.
Right. Go out there and enjoy the hobby. Go out there and have fun. Don't worry about what it is that you're using. You know, nobody wants to be stressed out over the metal detector that they're using. They bought it. They want to go out and they want to have fun with it. They want to find with it. That's my main thing. I want you guys and anybody that watches our channel, watches your channel, you know, and so on. I want them to go out and have fun. I want them to find history and share it with everyone. You know, that's what the hobby is about. It's not about my machine is better than yours. We get so into our clans, you know, almost, you know, we get into that brand orientation type thing. And I don't want people to feel that way. I want them to feel like, hey, whatever machine I've got, I can use it. I can run it. I'm going to have fun with it. That's where we need to be in the community as well.
So, hey, Brian, history teacher, Brian.
Yes.
Yeah. Put on your history hat.
Yeah. Put on your history hat for a minute. Your teacher hat, actually. Let me ask you, we have a good friend of ours that is also a history teacher over in Kansas.
Sure.
Great guy. Do you ever incorporate the items you find in any kind of things in your classroom? Like, I don't know what ages you teach, but
I teach high school kids. So that's to me, that's the toughest age because I'm battling. You got to remember, I'm battling YouTube. I'm battling TikTok. I'm battling Snapchat. I'm battling all of them.
But you got more followers than they do. So
that's right. That's one of the weapons I use against them, you know?
Sure.
But yes, I do take those artifacts into the classroom, especially when I'm teaching a U.S. history class. And here it is, you know, I'm holding a lead bag seal from the 1700s that I can talk to these kids about and say, look, you know, hey, you know, this came from the period when we were still a colony and, you know, we were trading back and forth with Great Britain, those economic ties between us and Great Britain at that point. So, you know, those are the types of things that, you know, I bring up quite frequently.
Do any of your students take an interest in what you do?
Yes, they do. They really do. And they love when I bring in those types of things and they can physically hold those things in their hands and they can see those things, you know, and then I can tell them that story, you know, that goes along with it. And one of the things that I've tried to focus on a little more over the last maybe 4 or 5 months is the storytelling with the history behind the artifact to sort of give people a context, which I do that a lot, especially in some of my classes, is the kids have to have a context. They have to sort of have something that they can grasp onto before they're going to understand what you're actually trying to teach them. And I try to do that. I'm trying to do that right now through YouTube as well, is show that context and give them some idea. And I know, like I said, I don't know if Tony can pull up. Tony, pull up that find, real early find from the 1600s. So we were just talking about this earlier, and this fragment of a coin, it's not the complete coin, but it is a fragment of a coin, dates to 1619. And this coin is from the Netherlands. It's a Dutch coin that dates to 1619. Just to put that into context, Jamestown was founded in 1607, which was the first English colony on the East Coast. This is 1619, and this was dug here in South Carolina on the site that I've been hunting on. It's probably, I would venture to guess, it's probably one of the earliest coins ever found in my area.
Crazy.
And believe it or not, and I didn't even tell you guys this part. One of the things that I really pride myself in is that I love leaving the history where I found it. So I actually gave this coin to the landowner. So he's displaying it at that location where the coin actually came from.
Wow.
So, and I do a lot.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. I do a lot of that because I'm a strong believer in history. I know that if I donated it to a museum, that they would just take it and probably put it in a drawer.
Yeah.
But to me, this coin means everything, and I get a lot of people saying, well, how much is this worth?
Yeah, that's every question.
That's always the question.
Yeah. And my response to that is it's priceless because it's a piece of history. Right. And, that's one of the main things that I try to stress too with my audience is, I don't care about, I'm not looking at value. I don't sell any artifacts. I don't go on eBay and start posting bottles and posting, coins or any of that. My main thing is the history, and my main thing is sharing the history and maybe teaching the people about what happened here 300, 200, 100, or whatever it may be. And that's where I tend to live. I live in that zone more so than others that are finding it, selling it. I don't care about all of that. If I can share one thing or share one piece of information with somebody that they didn't know,
yes,
and maybe somebody finds something similar to it later on down the road, well, at least they got some idea about, hey, maybe I saw this on Southern Relic Convention, and I know what it is, Now,
is that called a Stevers or something like that? A Stivers coin? That coin? Is it called a Stevers?
I don't know the actual name of it. I just know it's a Dutch coin.
Yeah.
And I've got the actual picture. If you go on my Facebook page or Instagram page, you can actually see what the real coin looks like. But it's the exact match to it. And I couldn't believe the guy that found it. I had to post it on Facebook to figure out what it was, because I've never seen it before.
Wow.
And it was just one of the most amazing finds. And it's probably one of my, I know it's one of my oldest finds, but it's 1619. I mean, come on. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Holding something in your hand that old. And then, learning the history and what was going on in 1619 around the world and all that stuff puts it into context for you. But as detectorists, what do we always kind of like to imagine is, how did that get there?
Right. And so think about it like this. So there was a colony in my area, a French colony, believe it or not, and it actually went by the wayside. But there's no record of any Dutch explorers coming into this area. Now, could it have been that whoever moved into this area actually brought that coin with them? But the earliest known existence of people living on this property is 1740.
Wow.
Okay. So
50-year difference.
1619 coin ended up on a 1740 home site? It's a good question. And it just baffles the mind. And that's where I just go off on my tangent. My mind starts racing, thinking about what could have been and, why these people were here and so on. And that gets me juiced up.
Absolutely.
I
was in a cornfield in Ohio. I found a 1772 Spanish real, and it's very unique. I really didn't understand the concept of exactly what I had, but then I looked at the date, 1772. I'm like, this is before we became a country.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden my mind starts going, putting into context about, what was going on at this time. I mean, we were still at colonies, all these different stories, and I'm holding a piece that relates prior to that time. And it's just like you taking the stuff to the students where you can talk about, the economic side of trade
Right.
overseas during this time, and they're holding a bale seal that came over from wherever
Right.
that was, wool or whatever it was.
Right.
And then they go, oh, wow. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that.
Well, and I found a bale seal. I'm just going to speak real quickly on this. I found a bale seal and I actually traced it. Okay. So the guy that the bale seal came from, actually, it had London on the bale seal. Well, it had the guy's name on it too. And
wow.
Yeah. And so what I found out was that guy actually lived in Charleston. He had a store in Charleston, but he was a loyalist during the Revolutionary War. And so once the war was going on, he left Charleston because he feared for his life and went back to London. Became a big-time slave trader in London. And it was just the most amazing story to me that he had a store in downtown Charleston at one point. He left because he was a loyalist. He was a Tory, and he went back to London and became one of the London's biggest slave traders during that period.
Wow.
And here I was holding this thing in my hand from him being a merchant, and it says literally merchant, has his name on the top, and then it says London, England on it. And it's from the 1700s during that period. And it's just, that kind of stuff just blows me away.
I'd lose my job because I'd dive right down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'd spend days researching that.
We're already close to that, Ken.
We are.
Yeah.
How many times did you and I message each other today about some silly thing?
Way too many.
Crazy.
Well,
That's amazing though, man.
I have a ball with that kind of stuff. And I know, and I'll let Tony put up that last find, which is my all-time favorite find, which is the USA button.
Wow. Tell us about that, man. People might not know what that is, man. So you got to explain what that is.
That is a Continental Army USA Revolutionary War button from 1780. Okay. Now it's not in the best of shape, and I have preserved it the best I can. And I'll talk real quickly on that too. So one of the things that I do to preserve this is a pewter button. And what happens with these pewter buttons is they'll start to deteriorate the longer they are in the ground. And eventually they'll crumble to pieces. So one of the things that I do is I take Elmer's glue, and I do 50% Elmer's glue and 50% water. And then I take a Q-tip and I go over that button to put that slight film to keep all of that from flaking apart.
Seal it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And seal it up, seal it as best I can. And this was the one find that I've been looking for my entire metal detector.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This find is, to me, is my golden goose. This is the one.
Is this your top find? Would you say this is your top find?
Well, it's my top find. It's not the best. I won't say it's the best find, but it's the find that I wanted the most.
Yeah.
It's one of those types of finds. And the reason why is because my family has a real strong tie to the Rev War period. My grandfather of the Revolutionary War actually fought with Francis Marion in Francis Marion's brigade. And if you don't know who Francis Marion is, he was the Swamp Fox, and he's basically, to me, and now this is just my own opinion, the Revolutionary War would have not ever come to an end if it hadn't been for this guy. And I'm going to tell you why. He held the British up in South Carolina and frustrated them so much that they eventually left South Carolina. And that's what led them to Yorktown. Without him, we don't get the end of the Revolutionary War. A lot of people like to think that the Revolutionary War was all fought up in the North. But it's the South. I'm going to be honest with you. It's the South that eventually led to the end of the Revolutionary War. It's South Carolina. There were more skirmishes and battles in the state of South Carolina than there were in any other colony during that.
Wow.
Yeah. And Francis Marion, if you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Patriot.
Yeah.
But if you've seen The Patriot, that whole character is based off of Francis Marion.
Yeah, a lot of guerrilla warfare tactics, and
yeah. We didn't have anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
we weren't organized enough to have
massive
anything
army.
else.
Yeah,
Well, the Continental Army was totally defeated during the Battle of Camden, completely wiped out. There was nobody left for the British to fight in South Carolina if it wasn't for the militia and Francis Marion, and they're the ones who basically started raiding their supply lines, attacking them where they couldn't move because they were going to move out of South Carolina into North Carolina and start taking over all the other southern states. But he disrupted all of that so much that they couldn't move. They were sort of stuck. And eventually they got tired of it. And if you know what happened at the Battle of Cowpens, you know what happened at the Battle of Kings Mountain, the British took heavy losses there. And once that happened, the British said, we're out of here. And they left and went to North Carolina. And then we get what we call the Battle of Gilbert Courthouse. And they lost so many men during that battle in North Carolina that eventually they retreated to Yorktown. And that's where it ends.
Wow.
You know, but none of that happens without what happens here in South Carolina.
Rob asked, do you think that's because of the port, Brian?
Well, Charleston was the major port, and they captured Charleston in 1780, in March of 1780. And they stayed in South Carolina from 1780 through 1781. And again, the Continental Army was wiped out. Nathaniel Greene, who was the lead Revolutionary War general of the South, he was up in Charlotte. He wasn't even in this area, you know. So this button being here means that one of those Continental Army soldiers had been sent down. Now, it could have been, who knows who it could have been. There weren't a lot of regulars in this area. That's why this button is so precious to me.
Sure.
You know, my grandfather probably did not wear this button because my grandfather was a part of the militia in South Carolina. So that's what makes, you know, this button so special here in this area.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah. And I've got I found a British 76 Regiment of the Foot Highlander button.
Do you really?
Not even a half a mile from where this button was found.
Wow.
Have you ever found any of those Confederate Palmetto Guard buttons?
I have not found a Palmetto Guard button, but I've got plenty of South Carolina Confederate buttons. I've got almost 18, 19 South Carolina Confederate buttons. I've dug a lot of Civil War artifacts. I found a camp that was almost non-existent, that nobody knew where it was. I actually found it.
Wow.
And it was the main training area for everyone in this area of about a 3 or 4 county area. And I actually found that camp, and it was just a field day of artifacts.
Wow. You're in a great spot.
Do that. Jeez. Yeah, you're in a great spot. I know you said you're into kind of researching family history. I'm really into genealogy myself. Right. And one of my ancestors died at Kings Mountain, and my kids went there with their mom to kind of do some visiting, and they found the plaque. There's a big plaque there that kind of talks about people that fell there, and they were able to find my ancestor and take a picture of it, you know, and
that's
it was kind of cool. I'd love to make it out there sometime.
Yeah, well, you need to come to South Carolina's got some great history. Of course, the Civil War started here in South Carolina in Charleston. Yeah. But it's got some great history, and you know, I know that history because I've taught it. And you know, like I said, my parents were history nuts, and they took me to a lot of places. They took me to Washington. They took me to Jamestown. They took me to Williamsburg. They took me to all the major battlefields in Virginia. They took me to Vicksburg out in Mississippi. Got to see all those places. And I've got stories from relatives that were living during that period that wrote letters back to, you know, their families and things like that. And that's just where my passion comes from for all this stuff.
I was going to say, what's your favorite period of time in history? Is it American history, or is it any period in world history?
I love American history. I love Rev War period, and I've always been fascinated by Francis Marion. I actually went to Francis Marion University.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I was actually a runner at Francis Marion University. I ran cross country and track and field there, and we were the Patriots naturally, and so it's just always been a passion, So that's really what got me going with a lot of this, and my parents were just wonderful that they had the means to take us to a lot of those places and see a lot of those things when I was growing up.
That's great.
We always ask people, so you got so much around you. You've got beach, you've got fields, swamps, you got all kinds of stuff around you.
Right.
Where's your favorite place to hunt? Like if you had to just focus on one, or boy, I really love this.
I'm the most comfortable out in the middle of a field or right in the middle of the woods. I just am. I mean, I feel, there's just something about it, especially when you're out there and you're in these secluded locations and you don't hear anything. It's just woods and you and peace and quiet. It is my zen. I mean, I'm just honest. It's my zen getting out onto those locations. And if you go watch any of my videos, you can see that these places are really remote. There's like nothing around them. The nearest store is probably 25, 30 miles away in most of these places. And I'm just at home. I feel like that's exactly where I need to be. I go out to those places.
Love it. I love it.
Yes. I've got, I've just been really blessed, and I'm fortunate enough to live where I live. And, I love going out and finding things, that's just like all the rest of us on here. We love going out and finding things, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So tell me a little bit. I mean, y'all are asking me all the. Let me ask a little bit of question. So Ken, you're in Colorado, right?
Yeah, Tony and I both are in Colorado. So
okay.
I'm up north and he's further down south. Yeah.
I've been to Colorado. I've actually been to Denver.
Yeah.
And I actually went and saw a Colorado Rockies game. I'm a big baseball fan, which I've been watching baseball as we've been talking. But yeah, I love that area. I love going to that area and visiting. So, I mean,
it's interesting. Like we don't have the colonial Rev War, any kind of, barely any Civil War. We have Civil War era, military relics here from when the cavalry came out this way, and about 18.
But you guys have that Western theme with the movement out west, and you get the silver coins, and of course Denver being one of the major mints. I'm imagining that there got to be like a lot of the silver coins in you guys area. I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We definitely have a lot of silver that we can find, depending on where you hunt. A lot of sites that Tony and I hunt, we don't find too many of them, but we have a lot of relics. If you're relic hunting here, you're really finding a lot of things that pioneers brought with them. They brought everything with them. They gave everything up. The left their life behind and pushed west, mainly heading to California for the 49 gold rush, and hit the Rocky Mountains and said, "We're stopping right here. We're finding gold here. We don't have to go any further." So, all that stuff they brought with them. A lot of it, they go up and work in the mining camps, and they would leave that stuff behind, and we come along and find pieces of it and kind of piece it together. Like, this is what life was like for them back then. This is kind of, these pieces are what they used to live and to survive, and every piece tells a story. So
and I try to stress that on my channel. I get a lot of people going like, "Well, all you dig is buttons," and I'm going like, there are a lot of people out there that would love to dig these buttons that I'm digging.
Absolutely.
and I do realize that most of these buttons that I'm digging came from enslaved people. Okay. Most of these plantations that I'm hunting had a labor force of anywhere from 300 to upwards of almost 1,000 slaves in some of these areas and some of these plantations and things that I'm hunting. And a lot of those, I don't think people grasp, the amount of work that it took to do a rice field or do, a tobacco field or a cotton field. I don't think they realized the amount of labor that was required to do that. And they don't understand that, yeah, I'm going to dig a lot of buttons. I mean, that's just part of it. But every single one of these buttons tells a story.
Yes.
It's a piece of history. It's something that was left behind by the people that lived on these things. And these buttons lead to the good finds, the ones that you really, really want in a lot of cases. But they also tell the story of what was going on there, who was working there, where they lived, what types of work that they actually did in some cases. A slave, I have not found a slave tag.
I was going to ask you. That's on my list of questions.
I have not found a slave tag. It is one of the things that I would love to find, just for the simple fact that I would love to be able to give it to the landowner of this location, which he's actually taking an old slave cabin and he's redoing it.
Really?
I've actually helped with a museum here in South Carolina, where I went on to the plantation and found artifacts and gave the finds to the museum to display. But I love doing that kind of stuff because, again, every single artifact tells a story. That's why I never believe in selling an artifact, not unless it's something that is so rare and so precious that no one else will ever see that artifact,
right,
if they don't sell it to a museum and if the museum's going to display it. But outside of that, I love leaving it right where it was found or putting it somewhere where people can see it on a consistent basis.
Tony, if people don't like digging buttons, where shouldn't they go?
Ohio?
England.
Oh, England. Yeah. England. That's all you
Don't
dig.
go to England if you don't like digging.
Well, and the funny thing is that each one of those buttons, like I said, tells a story, but it also tells the age of the property. You can tell a lot by the button.
Yes.
The button, the back of the shank of a button tells you the age of it. So you can sort of get a general idea about when those things are going on. And that's why I want people to understand, yeah, to you, it's just a button. But to me and to a lot of other people, it's a story. It's history. It's about that location. It's about what it could lead to. One of these buttons could be the right button, the button that you've been looking for, like a George Washington or a CSA button or any of those things. And usually that's where you're going to find those types of things. When you start digging those buttons, that means the possibility of digging one of those finds that you've been waiting for your entire life is going to be there. And, that's what makes it so much fun,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're talking about finds, and a lot of our viewers and listeners, they always ask the same question. They want to know if you've ever found this.
Grandma's brooch.
Have you ever found grandma's brooch?
Grandma's brooch. I have dug a few brooches in my life, believe it or not. Yes, I have.
I got to get that in once a show. It's
Once
part
a
of my
show, it's got to
contract.
fit in somewhere. Hey, Brian, do you have any tips on gaining permissions? We ask a lot of our guests that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a universal. There's a lot of similarities out there, but
there are, and I've done the door knocking. I mean, I've gone and knocked on doors and so on. But my thing is, once you get embedded into a community like I am at this point, I've been at the school that I've been at for a while, and I know a lot of people in the community. I think that's where you get a lot of your permissions from. And I'm going to be honest, guys, sometimes being on a permission can lead to other permissions, and you guys know that too.
Yes. We were just talking about this this morning. Ken and I were on the phone literally talking about this exact topic. Go ahead.
Right. So the permission that I have right now, where y'all see me digging a lot of these fantastic finds, that permission came because I was on another permission. Okay. A guy rode by and saw me metal detecting out in the yard, out in this well, it really was a yard.
What you finding?
Yeah, well,
what you doing?
he's
What you looking
he
for?
says, hey, he goes, I live in this house next door. He goes, would you like to hunt my house? And I said, sure. What, you know?
Well, I guess so.
Well, and the funny thing was I had heard stories, and the property owner at the time said, somebody said that there might have been a British fort on this property. Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, well, let me come out here with my metal detector. Let me see if I can find this fort. And so I started metal detecting, and I was finding all this old 1700 stuff, and I was like, well, this is so great. And so this guy comes riding by, and he goes, well, you can hunt my yard. And so I went over in his yard, and I dug like 3 or 4 69 cal Brown Bess musket balls.
Sweet.
They're British.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And I said, yeah. I said, these are all British musket balls from the Brown Bess. So there's a great possibility. What was so funny is I left that property and went to his property, which was in another location. And so he made, and this is no lie, I'm not making this up. He made me get in my truck, follow him to another property.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so when I get out to this property, it's 4,000 acres.
Oops, just fell in my lap. Thank you very much.
Right. And so
amazing.
It was just the best situation ever. It was like the good Lord was shining down on me. But, then it turned into a great friendship. This guy is a wonderful friend, and he actually comes out there occasionally and goes detecting with me. And he brings his grandson out there. We have a great time. And again, that's what this hobby's about.
Yes.
And that made it so special. But to make a long story short, I went back to that same property where I left from just about, in April. And I finally proved that the British fort was there. I dug 2 British cannonballs.
Did you really?
Yes.
Good for you.
Right.
Jeez, good for you.
And so here, I'll show you this.
Yeah, grab them.
Yeah.
This didn't come from that property, but this is another one that I've done.
Oof.
Yeah.
So how do you tell the difference between U.S. and British? Are they just a weight and
this was made in China?
Now, you can't really see it that good, but on the side of the cannonball right here, there's a broad arrow on the side of the cannonball.
Okay.
Which tells you that it is a British cannonball.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a 6-pound solid shot, so it doesn't have like gunpowder inside of it. But this was used for a light artillery piece used by the British. And I dug this right off of a creek here in South Carolina.
I bet you weren't excited or anything.
Oh, you should have seen it when it came off. Now, it didn't look anything what it looks right here.
Yeah.
And it was completely rusted over. I actually took a grinding wheel to this one, which I probably shouldn't have done. But I got all the rust off.
We won't tell anybody. We won't tell anybody.
Yeah. And so that is a British cannonball. I'll show you another thing too, just really cool. This is a piece of canister shot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. And so this was found on the Civil War site. And you can hear the rust and stuff. I need to sort of clean it up. But this went inside like a big brass cylinder, and they would shoot this thing like a big shotgun shell.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even imagine?
Awesome.
Facing that.
Oh, I don't want to get hit with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scatters.
But that's just the kind of stuff I love. I just go crazy over that kind of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah. And
that's great.
We
definitely have been on some sites. We were on a site up north, and there was, I think, 4 of us in this small little field, not even a yard, and it's right on kind of almost a major corner of this small little town. And this guy's kind of walking on the other side of the street, and he, you see him, he crosses over the middle of the street, comes over towards us, and I was closest to the fence line there, and he starts walking up, he goes, "Oh, are you 5280?"
Yeah.
I said, yeah. He said, I follow you on Instagram. I've got my own metal detector. And then all of a sudden it was just word throw up and just talking about the history of what he's done and where he's going and what he's looking at. And it was just fantastic. You know, again, it was, you know, how we all can,
This
you
community.
never meet anybody that you have necessarily a relationship with.
Right.
All of a sudden now you've got metal detecting and you guys can talk for days to each other.
Right.
Oh,
You don't have any questions.
Trust me, my wife gets that all the time. And
She just walk away.
oh my gosh, yeah, she knows.
Here we go.
The funny thing is, if somebody comes into my house, the collection that I do have, I have it all in a big, huge glass coffee table in our den.
Oh wow.
So people, when they come into our house,
Sure.
they see everything right there in that glass. And it's a glass over the coffee table, and then everything sits inside these drawers that I slide into it.
Oh wow.
You can see everything. And so, my wife, she's like, please God, don't ask him about metal detecting.
Oh, but I bet, you know what, Brian? I bet people are really interested in it, though. They're like, probably like, ooh,
there's
like,
always,
it's
always interesting.
Well, but the bad thing about it is I won't say it's the bad thing about it, but I know every single thing about that one particular artifact, and then I know the history behind it. So it does become sort of this long, drawn out thing, which I guess that's what I'm doing on here right now. But
that's why we had you on, so we all could talk like this.
Right.
Your wife called us up. She said, I don't want to talk to him anymore about that. You guys talk to him about that.
We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it.
And again, I can talk machines all day too. I mean, the history part of it, though, is my first love, and then the machines and everything else that goes along with it are my second love. But, when you can walk out of there with something from the 1700s and it's got a story to tell, and you want to tell that story, and you know the story behind that artifact, I mean, it just becomes, it just does
amazing.
Something.
Absolutely.
It really does.
It's the passion, and like we were talking about earlier before we started the show, and I said, it's going to be about an hour and a half, and all we're doing is just talk about what we're passionate about.
Right. Exactly.
And we've got a whole list of questions, and we may not get to any of them because we just want to talk about what we love talking about. It's just what we do.
Right.
Well, I did see one question that I think that somebody asked me. They said, what resource do I use to identify buttons?
There you go. Heavy metal detecting Kentucky.
Right. And one of the things that I use is I use Albert's Guide, which I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with that. I can find it here. This is an older version of it, but that's Albert's Guide. And that's military buttons. That's the bicentennial edition. And I've also got another, which I don't have it in here right now, but I have another one too that I use. But I mainly use Albert's, and it's really got some great information in there for those of you that are interested. And I use another book too that has some other great pictures that are a little more in detail other than Albert's. I just don't have it in here to leave the room to go get it. But
I think you answered the question for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and then sometimes I have to, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know everything. So sometimes I have to ask my followers, hey, have any of you ever seen this? So I dug a Civil War tompion. Do y'all know what a tompion is?
No, never heard of it. Okay. Explain.
So a tompion is it's a cork, but it also has a brass metal piece at the top that they screwed into the end of their gun to keep water from going down in the barrel to keep it from rusting. But it was only made for an 1853 Enfield rifle that was used by Confederate soldiers.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was. Okay. I'm just honest. I didn't know what it was when I first found it. And then, of course, I dug it it's probably been about 7 years ago. But I had to ask somebody what it was. The other thing that I dug was a bullet mold.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, here.
Like a round ball mold?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Those Champions look like a large clothespin. I can hold back close.
There it is.
Yes.
Look at that.
Okay.
Love that.
Very cool.
So you guys are gonna find this hilarious. So when I dug this, the guy that I was hunting with told me this was a pair of wire cutters. I needed to throw it away.
Did you put it in your trash pouch? Oh my
It
goodness.
was in my trash pouch. I'm real, okay?
Yeah.
I put it in my trash pouch.
Right there with you.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the iron pin is gone in it,
Okay.
All right.
but you guys can see
Yeah. There you
the
go.
mold. So
cool,
this goes for, and I had an archaeologist look at it. This goes for I think he said it was a 28 or a 29 caliber pistol, which is like really small.
Yeah. That is small.
So anyway, I didn't throw it away, luckily.
Yeah.
And I actually saw on Facebook somebody had posted this. And sure enough, that's what it was. It was a bullet mold. This was probably the most important thing to that soldier during the Civil War. That he had this bullet mold, but he lost it. And I found it.
Yeah.
Are you on ID Me on Facebook?
I am. I'm on all of them for the most part.
We found that one's really good. We'll be out in the field and post something. Before you can put your phone away, someone's already got 3 answers to it as to exactly what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And everybody, the people that are on it, they just love to be able to help identify. So I've seen this before. This is what it is. And now and then you can pass that information on to somebody else.
Right. And again, that's why I think this is so important, what we're doing on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram, that we display these types of things so somebody doesn't throw away an important thing.
Don't throw that away.
I like your point too, Brian. Like, some guy, that was important. Some guy, he dropped it.
Right. That's the most important thing.
It's been sitting there waiting this entire time for Brian to come along with his little coil in the middle of this big wide world of ours. It's just sitting there and you find it.
Right.
Amazing.
You find it and bring it back to life.
It's meant to be.
Bring it back to appreciation. Amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
And again, I can talk fines all day. I can talk metal detectors all day. But, when something like that happens, you're like going, oh, my God, I almost threw that away. I almost thinking it was a pair of wire cutters.
My friend Kevin Dowd in England, they say don't throw anything away. And he found the spigot handle, like a T handle to a hose bib, like a hose spigot. Right. And it was all corroded, and he threw it in his junk pouch. We just kept on working. At the end of the day, you lay everything out, and the expert there from Colchester came along and said, do you know what that is? That's a sword Killian from 1 BC.
Oh,
1 BC. And he goes, you see that iron blade in there? There's a tang in there at the guard, and it looked like a hose spigot T handle. And he was going to throw it away. And it's a 1 BC sword piece that had the blade still in it, like a knife. Oh my goodness. You got to be kidding me.
Well, this is another one of those finds that somebody probably would have thrown away. This is a sword scabbard for an officer's Confederate officer's sword, the tip of it. And you're looking at that and you think, well, there's not much to that. But that's solid brass, guys.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That's a piece right there.
Right.
Turn it over, Brian. Turn it over. Oh,
you can see the design. There's like a design right here on the right there.
Yeah. Sweet.
And so I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I knew I had something special because I knew the site where I was at. I knew this wasn't the site that I've been hunting, but I knew that I had something special because of the things that had come off of this site. And I was going like, what the heck is this? And it was just unbelievable that I found that. And, that's something unique, something special, something you really wasn't expecting to find. And you think that this came off of a Confederate officer's sword. You know?
No, it just blows you away. Thinking,
Oh, yeah.
you know, where that's been, what it's been
What
through,
it's seen,
what it's seen.
Right.
who had it,
Yeah,
who had it.
Right. All of
Oh
that
my
stuff that's
gosh.
going through your head. And you know, when you find that kind of thing, you just love. And I know y'all like that big jug behind me. That actually came out of the bank of a river. That is a 1700s jug.
Oh my gosh.
That was
Unbelievable.
made by somebody. And you know, it's just, you know, again, it's history, guys. And
Absolutely.
that's where I'm at with all of that, and that's what I love. I mean, that's my passion. What you guys can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. One of
Absolutely.
us, I
Yep.
tell you, we're right there
Oh,
with
yeah.
you.
Right.
Yep.
And
We got like 4 minutes left on the show. We're going to kind of wind it down here, but there's things that we want to ask before we leave of you. How about, let's see, how about a white whale? What's your white whale that you should have dug by now that you just haven't come across yet?
well, you know, the funny thing is, I have not dug a cap to bust. You know, I've not
haven't
dug
either.
one. Yeah, a cap.
Ken, have you dug one?
I've barely seen one. Are you kidding me?
I've not dug a cap bust. But probably there are two things left for me, really. I mean, the cap bust would be nice to dig, and again, I would give it away. I mean, it would just be the idea of digging it. But there are two things. A slave tag would be the one, which I should have dug by now, like you just said, and the other would be any sort of George Washington button, because George Washington visited my area and actually stayed in my area, and I know there were a lot of supporters of George Washington, of course, naturally. Of course, you've seen the USA button. So those would be the two: the slave tag and the George Washington. A CSA, I'd love to have a CSA. So I've not dug either one of those three things. And those are really the only three things that I'm really after, to be honest.
Good. You'll get on them. You're in the right spot. You know, you're digging the right areas. So,
and a lot of people would say, well, what about a gold coin? I like a gold coin. Don't get me wrong. I would love to dig one. You know, it's not like that, but there's just something. There's something about the history part of it.
There's got to be a historical connection. Yes, you can look at a specific date for that gold coin, but what is it
if I got
tied
an
to?
1853 gold coin, yes, I'd be excited about it, and I would hoop and holler about it. And there you go, right there.
Yeah, that's just it, right? Like I find my gold coin, $1 1853 gold coin, but it's in an area where those cavalry soldiers that were here protecting people pushing west and patrolling and setting up these camps here in these forts, they were paid like $13 a month in these gold coins, and he dropped it at some point.
Yeah.
Either they were gambling or it fell out of a pouch. I think it fell out of a pouch because it was surrounded by little bucking balls, little pistol balls. And, you know, that meant a lot to him. And it ties in with that part of our history that we have here in Colorado. We don't have a ton, but what we do have, we hold on to dearly. And that's why I like that gold coin. One, it's a gold coin. Woo!
Exactly.
But it's tied to those soldiers.
And I get that, because that is sort of the time frame where Colorado was sort of taking off, you know, and people were moving out west, and, you know, Manifest Destiny and all of that was going on at that time.
Right.
Whereas for me, it's that colonial period and the Revolutionary War period and the Civil War period. It's more those types of things. So, I mean, I can relate to that. You know, what's so funny is you get these guys from Europe and they go like, oh, that's not old. Or, you know, do that all the time. And I get that too.
Right.
But they don't understand the importance of our history to those particular artifacts. Now, if I went over to England or to Europe and I dig a know, Henry VIII or Charles the First or Third or whatever it may be, Edward, you know, I would go crazy over that kind of stuff naturally too. But for me here in the United States, this is what I can find, and this I know the story of all of this. But I can go over to Europe right now too. And guess what? I know that story too. So.
Right.
That's
That's the
right.
advantage you have being a history teacher and stuff. You
Yep.
know a lot more of it than most of us that aren't history teachers. We have to find something and then go research
And then do
it
the research.
and
Yeah.
then figure out.
But
And that's
again,
why we
you
love it too. Because I was never interested in history, Brian. I never had a teacher like you ever.
Right.
No one
Right.
made it interesting for me. So you know what I mean?
And that's the thing, you know, you guys heard me say, I have to research some of the stuff that I found. You know, I just had to, I mean, I just got through telling you, I didn't know what that 1619 Dutch coin was. I didn't know. I mean, I
Even what the
sort of
bullet
knew
mold was.
it was something, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to do all of that, you know, but that's what makes it fun.
Yes.
It really
Agreed.
does. And I think a lot of people, if people are out there just doing it for finding things and selling them, to me, that's a travesty. It really is.
Yeah.
To me. But that's just me.
I've got one quick question, then we're gonna
Sure.
to back out of here. Johnny Bottles wanted to know early on in the chat, and I said we were gonna get to it. He has a few XP coils that needs fixing. Do you know who he needs to
Okay.
contact?
Right. And I know Johnny, by the way, too.
Okay.
So Johnny, you can either contact a local dealer and he can give you the information. You can contact my buddy Mike Hall at LMS Metal Detecting. He's out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But he can definitely give you and steer you in the right direction. Or you can leave a message on XP's website on the contact information, and they can tell you who you can get in touch with for getting your machine fixed or your coil fixed for sure.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thanks
Right.
for that.
Yeah, Brian, you've been a great guest, man. Thank you so much
Hey,
again for giving up
look,
your time.
I appreciate it. I love, again, you guys just opened up the forum that I love, and you guys know that. And I really appreciate you guys having me on tonight too. And thank you. We've got our live stream on Friday night at 7:30. If any of you guys are interested and want to join in, come on and join in. We have great guests too. We don't have one coming up this Friday night, but we do have all the major manufacturers: XP, Minelab, Nata, Garrett. All of those guys are coming in and out, and they share some great information with us. And we'll have another live show coming up. And check out all of my other channels too. You know, I'm on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can find me on all those platforms. And it's just a great time. And hopefully you learn something and you enjoy what you see, and just give us a like and subscribe if you get a chance.
Sounds great. We're going to put you in the
Absolutely.
green room, and we'll be right with you. We'll close down the show and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
say our goodbyes off the air. You okay
All
with
right.
that?
Thank you guys for having me. Enjoyed the chat. Thank you guys for joining in tonight on Relics Radio. We appreciate you.
Great. Yeah, and for those listening in on the replay later, or those in the chat, those watching the video at a later time on the replay, we're going to have all of Brian's links right down below in the description of the stream, and also of the audio podcast, where you can go check out all of his social media. He's on all of them. You know, what I'm always saying, Tony,
Right.
our age and have, you know, all this social media stuff going. And I love the fact that you got people in his classroom. That's been my favorite part.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely go check him out there. Southern Relic Adventures does a great job with many different aspects of our hobby. So go support
Love
him.
it.
I'm sure he would appreciate it. How about it?
Absolutely.
How
Yep.
about it?
Awesome. We're going to South Carolina, then over to North Carolina, then up the coast. I mean, we go down to Georgia.
You got to go to
We
Virginia.
know people in Florida.
Yeah.
We'll go up to Virginia. Okay,
Vermont.
we got it.
You see
Vermont,
Brad
New
up
Hampshire.
there. Yeah,
Let's
maybe.
circle
Yeah,
around.
maybe
Copper
Maryland.
Joe.
Stop in
All right,
Maryland.
come back through Ohio.
Go to Kansas. Maybe Philadelphia.
There we go.
Cody and I have this
All right.
huge road trip, man, that if we just need to quit working at.
Yeah, the working's
I
cutting into our road trip, our metal detecting time, man. I talked to my manager about that crap.
What's going on with you, man?
All right. You guys can find me anywhere on social media, just like Brian. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, search 5280 Adventures. Always have content out there, always asking questions. And if you guys leave me some chats, check in, and then I'll be sure to message you back and all that kind of good stuff. Love chatting, love teaching, love learning and all that, and interacting with everybody. So that's about it. You and I are going to be detecting here pretty soon. We got a metal detecting meeting this Friday.
Yep. We got a friend coming to town next week.
That's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, we should mention that probably no show next Wednesday, right?
That's right. No show next Wednesday. We're going to actually meet a good friend of ours for dinner next week. It should be a lot of fun. Haven't gone out and communicated and got together for a while with this person. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
But then the following week, we got some good people coming on for sure.
Good people lined up.
Yep. So we got some good guests coming up. But everyone, have yourself a great week. Go out and get some good stuff. Tell me about it if you do. I'd love to hear about it. And be safe out there. Have yourself a great time. Good luck to everyone. We'll see you not next week. We'll see you the week after. Have a good weekend.
Thank you so much for listening to Relics Radio. We will see you back here next week for another exciting guest. Until then, get out and dig it all.